All right. You need to put your phone down. We get ready to do this. I
I
know
got
you're busy, Last. Thank you.
people just text like crazy right now, so I'm like, hey, what's the link? What's the link? How do I get on it? How do I get on it? Okay. Why do people at the last minute?
Whatever, Last. It's always a theatrical event when you're around. People always want to see Laz. I was like, where's Laz at? Where's Laz? All right, so you okay? You ready to do this?
Yeah,
You got your
I'm ready.
food watching. You got your
Yeah.
water because I know you don't drink sodas. Let's do. You ready to do this?
Yeah. All right.
Wait a minute. I mean, yeah. Oh, sign in and get seated and ready to. Because I know this is going to be fun and exciting to hear about Laz Guidry.
You funny. Don't say that.
Oh my God. What area are you located in?
With me,
Yeah, yeah.
I'm in my bedroom. Is
No,
how is the
not the area. Are you in
oh
LA
oh
or
LA. Yeah.
LA?
LA.
Okay, okay, okay.
LA, Los Angeles, California, in Hollywood to be exact.
Ooh, in
I came
Hollywood.
in I came in dream, of course.
Living a dream.
All right. Yeah,
Well, I came here to work because I needed
living
the
the,
money.
yeah. Came here to do the same thing, but business sometimes like how am I gonna get paid off of this? You know.
Yeah. Well,
It's
you know,
tough.
I came for my 9 to 5, my nursing job, and that's why I came out here, and I got into in the film industry from there. So I
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. That would have to been a huge trans transition for you too,
Yeah.
to come from nursing industry into filming and be like, I'm gonna do this.
Well, last week you talk about me. We had to talk about you. You ready to do this? So let's
Yeah,
get
I'm ready to do this.
started. Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's do this. So, welcome to Leading Ladies Podcast, Leading Ladies Live, where we empower women worldwide and sometimes gentlemen with thought provoking content and interviews. I'm your host. Today, we have on our show Leading Gentlemen. Hello, Les.
Thank you for having me. I'm really grateful.
Oh, it's an honor to have you here. So, Les Guidry, who is known to many as Les, writer, bodybuilder, actor, and executive producer. From Lake Charles, Louisiana, raised by a single mother, and is the third of 7 children. Led the entertainment industry for 20 years and is a testimony of strength and perseverance. 2 albums, Heart of a Hustler, and In the Also, Les had acted acting roles in movies such as Wish, King of the Underground, where he worked alongside with Malcolm Warner and Richard T. Jones. I like him. Unsolved, The Murders of Tupac, and the Notorious B.I.G. And then his most notable role as a strong character in the multi-award Straight Out of Compton. And I must add the short gritty. Lastly, book called Reign of the Underdog. Blaz is truly a renaissance and that has carved out his own lane. And welcome to the show, Laz.
Thank you. Thank you again. It was a,
Huh?
that was a lot. I was like, finish now.
Look, I can spend 2 hours just
Yeah.
it's hearing it about yourself, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you don't even realize like all the things you've actually done until you take a seat back and you kind of like just listen to someone talk about it, or you kind of go to your resume and you're like, oh man, I have been doing some things. I've had some successes, you know? So,
Yeah, yeah. So, what was it like growing up in Louisiana? Tell us about that,
mm.
Louisiana.
Well, Louisiana is a very humid, but, you know, fun place. I grew up with my mother and my father and my four sisters and my brother, and at the time, and I came from a very large family. I have a lot of cousins, like a lot of cousins, and so it was just really fun because I got a chance to learn about family mostly, and my family was very close and very tight. So I remember going to my grandparents' house all the time. You know, somebody was always barbecuing, you know, having a crawfish ball, you know, those
Mm,
things. And so I got a chance to actually, you know, soak that up. And so now it travels with me, it carries with me, you know, that, you know, I could go back, you know, so.
man. So, I know because when you and I first, we met on Gritty, and Gritty and you and Courtney had the same type of experiences as a teenager. Can you talk about that? When teenager, so we could take it on a
Oh,
different
yeah.
level.
Yeah, of course. Well, in Louisiana, you know, you can get in a lot of trouble real easy in the South, you know. So um, I was hanging out with some guys, or shall I say, it's kind of a little deeper than that. I was going through some stuff with my family. My father at the time had actually separated, and so because my dad was a very strict man, um, you know, I honestly I was elated and happy because he didn't really like he didn't he didn't give me a break on much things. He didn't really like you know, um, he was just a father, and he was very firm. And when he said something, that's what he meant. So when my parents split up, that gave me an opportunity to be like, there's no chains on me. You know, he's not watching me right now. He's not on me. So I got a chance to start just hanging out with people that I shouldn't have been friends with, and direction where I got caught up, you know, selling drugs. And, you know, I went to juvenile detention home for a while. And, you know, I got out. And then I thought that really at that time after I got out, I really saw that there was little hope in that time frame for me to like even just finish school. And it had nothing to do with my mom. My mom was doing all she could do as a single mother at that time. But I really thought that like who cares if I graduated? Like it didn't really matter. Like I was like, fuck it. If you know I don't finish school, I just don't finish school. So it really drove me to like just get back into doing selling drugs again. And so also I wanted to be able to kind of eliminate this feeling that I had, or try to alleviate this feeling I had of my mother being the only one providing at that time. And so I saw this as an opportunity to help out, you know, so because we were struggling, we didn't have much, and we were going from house to house, and you know, my mom was doing the best that she could do. And so I don't know all the details that happened in my parents' marriage. That was none of my business. All I knew is that there was an absence of my father at that time. And it wasn't that he was gone my entire life. It was for some very vile and very important years when I was like 14. And that's when, being a teenager, you know, you're trying to find your way through high school. You're trying to, you know, get people to like you and be a part of, you know, a group of peers that will accept you. So part of that, trying to just be accepted, even though I was raised up with lots of cousins, I still was wanting to have friends. And eventually, you know, I wound up having to learn how to deal with the lack thereof, because we were constantly bouncing around from house to house. So I was going from different school to different school. I went to Washington Marion. I went to LCB, Lake Charles, Boston. The school isn't there anymore, but and LaGrange Senior. So my high school years, I was bouncing around. And so the camaraderie I had with the guys on the street, I felt a very good sense of just being connected with them, and they kind of understood where I was coming from. So the hustle was just like, okay, cool. This made a lot of sense. And I thought at that time that I was making things easier for my mother to not have to worry about me, because I could buy my own school clothes. I could go buy food for my brothers and sisters at the time. I could do things that I thought was contributing or being a man, because that's what I thought I had to do at that time. Because my father was telling me when I was a kid, hey, if I ever leave or I die, you got to take care of your mother and your brothers and sisters. So I carried that, and I'm not complaining about it. I mean, it is what it is, but that was the process and how I thought about it. And so I just started, making money on the streets, and I didn't really care if I got out of school or graduated from school. And it was one of those things that I was like, oh, well, I'm still a minor, so I'll get in trouble and I'll just go back to juvenile detention home anyway.
Right.
So I wasn't valuing that I had freedom. And so I wound up, selling drugs, and I got caught. Not caught selling drugs, but I got caught in this weird, stupid situation. It must have been basically God, like, I'm gonna stop you from doing this, man. So I'm gonna I'm gonna make sure this ends. And so uh, I thought I was gonna go back juvenile detention home. I was not, and they were like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna send you off to jail." And I wound up going to the real jail, and I was with a bunch of grown ass men at that time, and I was like 17 years old, and I was thinking like, I thought I was gonna go to juvenile detention home and be able to finish school. I was, I didn't think it was gonna happen, and so I was like, well, they're gonna have to let me out because it's my first time, and that didn't happen either. So I wound up standing there a while, and I was like, my mom and my dad came to visit me, and I was like pleading with my parents, like, please get me out. I'll never do this again. And I was like, let me out, mom. Come and get me. And my mom and my dad actually left me there. It was probably the best thing that ever happened for me, because I wouldn't have gotten the experience. And, I had a hard head. So, I probably would make a promise to myself and break my word and say, I ain't gonna do that again if I get another chance. And I would just do it anyway, because I was just the type of person that would go against the grain. And so I was in there, and I was watching, kids in school play ball, the season, they were running track. And I was just sitting there thinking like, man, that could be me, you know? And so I was like, man, I can't wait till I get out. So, man, I got on my knees one night, and I made a promise to myself, but also I was praying to God, and I was just like, look, if you give me another chance to get out of here, I won't come back. This won't be the life for me. I'll come back. And shortly after that, I wound up going to court. I don't even know how this all happened. One day they just called me, and it was like, hey, you're going to court. And, Guidry, you're going to court. And I got to the courthouse, and I was like, this is my chance. This is my break. I'm going to get out. And I was sitting there, and that ain't what happened either. The judges, they came up, the attorneys, or district attorneys came up, the prosecuting district attorney came up, and they spoke some words, and all I heard them say at the end was like 12 years. And so I was sitting there, and I was just like, what just happened? Now, mind you, I'm not a full grown adult, but I'm being prosecuted as an adult. I'm really just a kid in high school, and I should have been in high school handling my business, graduate. So I was trying to process this, and I'm like, my parents weren't there because nobody knew this was going to happen. Because once you get caught up in the kind of just, you're kind of at their mercy, that anything could happen to you, you know? And I don't think the validity of my parents even understood that too as well. And so, man, I sat there waiting. They put me off to the side and I was waiting with the other guys and I was like, what happened? And the guy was like, oh man, they gave you 12 years. And I was like, I'm gonna be 30 years old when I get. That's how I was saying to myself, like, I'm gonna be a grown ass man when I get out of here. And I was just like sick to my stomach. And I was like, damn, I guess I gotta do this then. This is it for me. And I had already started processing that this was just the life that I got involved in, and this is the outcome for me. And this was it. I was done. And they put us on a little bus, you know, and then they got us back and they separate you and they put you in this holding tank so they can check you and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden, I got back to my cell, and then they were like, a correction officer came and said, Guidry, you got a visitor. So I went down and I went to the visitation room, and there was this lady there, and she said, you know, I went through your file, and you know, I think that you just got a bad deal, and so, you know, you're gonna go home today. You're gonna go home today. We got you, you know, 5 years of probation or whatever, some restitution, and you're just a high school student, and you're gonna go home today. I think you deserve another chance. I think they was way too harsh on you, you know. And to even know that this woman even cared, look at my file, to even go through it, to even look and be like, wow, this isn't right, was amazing. And it was by God, only by him, that actually happened for me. And so
Mm-hmm.
I went home that day, and I never looked back.
So
Never looked back. That
that
was
was
it for me.
so that changed the mindset.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
for me. Yeah. Um, and I think because I had been seeing things firsthand on, you know, you out in the world, you have your freedom. You don't realize how much your freedom is priceless. You can't put a number on that. And then you're hearing stories like, oh, if you go to jail or something happens to you, you don't know the causes or the effect of things until they actually happen to you. And then I got a chance to see career criminals in and out of jail, their entire lives, 30, 40, 50-year-old men. And I'm just a kid, like a young man, like looking at their lives and being like, well, why didn't you stop? And they were telling me the same thing that I wasn't processing or accepted about myself at that time, which was like, oh, that was it for me. Like there was nothing else I could do. There was no hope. And so whenever that did happen for me, I gained a lot of hope. And I always rang this thought in my head, like, never give up, no matter what, just never give up, you know,
Never get
no matter how tough. Yep, never give up, no matter how tough it gets. And that stayed with me. And it's still with me today. So I think about that a lot whenever I'm going through my own trials and tribulations.
let your internet go out. So talk about out on faith and deciding that you wanted to pursue your music career and go from a small Louisiana to Los Angeles. Just stepping out on faith. Talk about that.
Um, that's a tough one because um, I was doing music, and it was part of one of the reasons that I got into music was because I got out and I found an avenue. I found a love that I always enjoyed, and I wanted to turn it into something tangible, something real. And so I was like, I'm gonna rap. And so I was doing it in Lake Charles, and I was pursuing it, and it was difficult because you had other groups out and things like that, and then I had some success in it where I gave a concert and stuff like that, and then I saw for myself that if I really wanted to pursue this career, I needed to leave my hometown, and so I took a chance and I just came out to Los Angeles. I didn't even realize what actually decision I was making, but I was like in the back of my mind, I just kept telling myself that I was gonna make it. I was gonna be all right, and you know, just don't give up. Just keep going. And so I came out to LA, and and I didn't realize the industry was a lot of politics in it, and the things that came with the industry was a lot more than just my dream. It was, and there was like 20 people in order to get you the deal, to get you signed, to get you with a bunch of artists in the circuit to kind of like it's such a that it's like during that time period that you could have been the shit and never ever got looked at. And so I was rolling the dice on me, and I didn't know those things. I just was rolling the dice. I was like, I'm gonna make it. If I went through this, I could go through anything. And I kept that in my forefront and decided that you know, I was gonna start my own independent label. And I started, you know, creating my own music, finding a way to create my own capital. And I started putting the money behind me and started like just understanding like I was going through a lot of red tape. And I, I I didn't really grasp the magnitude of what I was doing because all I saw was the vision of my music being created. I didn't know the huge responsibility of being a an independent label and having to pay for all this stuff at that time. And so I was like, who gonna pay for that? And it was like, well, you the label, you gotta pay for it. I was like, I got. So I wouldn't like, oh, you know, woe is me. I would be like, I would be like, okay, I'm gonna have to figure that out. And so this whole time I was going through that, I was always figuring out how to create capital so that I could stay doing my love, which was art and creating music. And you know, I just kept striving and pushing for that. So it was a challenge. Challenge.
You had two albums. I had the pleasure of seeing the videos. They were nice. Um, and then one was soundtrack on the Alpha Dog
Yeah.
with Bruce
Yeah.
Willis, Justin.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, talk about that process because that. I mean,
Well,
out here
that was
and on a soundtrack.
yeah, that was very exciting because that just doesn't happen very often for an independent artist to actually get put on the soundtrack without having a label deal or having, you know, the people backing you, the attorneys making the deal cut for you, publish. I didn't even have none of that. I just came upon a situation where I had someone that I knew that heard my music and thought of me, and they were connected to the whole Alpha Dog movie, and they just plugged me on it. And rest in peace, that person is dead today, but they plugged me on that deal, and ever since then, it laid just what was actually transpiring for me as an artist, because that wasn't something that could normally happen. And I was in a position to own my masters and own the music, and all those things have fell in line. Even though I didn't see it at the time, I was like, oh man, this is costing me so much money. I was always feeling like that all the time. I always felt stressed all the time about the music business. And so when I got on the Alpha Dog movie soundtrack, it really gave me a sense of more of it gave me more drive to push even harder for it, because I saw the opportunity that I was actually be able to get that notoriety as an artist. I was on that soundtrack with Tupac, 50 Cent, Dr. Dre, Eminem, you know, Tech Nine. You know, I was like looking at that and like, wow, I was like feeling really good because I was an independent artist, and I didn't know what to do with that at the time. So it wasn't like I had like a great financial mentor or I had like A&Rs backing me, and I didn't have any of that. I just got really in a place where this is none of my doing. It was all by the will of God, like for real. Like I'm telling you, like he placed me in all these different situations, but he never closed the doors on me. He gave me so many avenues for me to like explore in the realm of being an artist and as a creator, to find my true self in that, to, you know, obviously all the creations that I have are only through him and or by him. And so it was like what was the stories I was going to tell the world? What was I going to contribute to the world as an artist? Not about popping bottles, which is nothing wrong with that at all.
Yeah.
I think that, artists get to that place because they're so happy they finally get a chance to find the art in a position to make a living. So of course, this is the life they want to enjoy because this is what we're trying to get to. But I wasn't in that place even with that feeling. I was like, oh, I still need to push more for success because I was an independent label, and it was getting tougher because I couldn't compete with a label deal. I couldn't compete with the record label. I didn't have the money that they had, but I was doing all I could do at that time as an independent artist. And so it made me just keep grinding to find a way to express myself as an artist.
It's new industry. And what advice, because I was in the music industry or whatever it was called, and it was always that question, what you give an artist that's trying to break into the music industry, because I know things changed from then to now.
Um, I probably would tell them, uh, give it 100%.
Okay.
Don't take anybody's word for you can't make it, you can't get there, it's impossible. But I would tell them to, you know, explore all avenues of creating their art as an artist. And so that's what I was able to do. But that wasn't because I was just this smart ass dude. It was more so like I would get the download and a door would appear. And then I would hear, God tell me, go there, open that, and something will be revealed. And that's what I continue to keep doing. That's what I kept doing. And then I would find something new about myself as an artist. And so that made me just, you know, go for my dream even more. And so I would tell anyone in the industry to strive for farther beyond than yourself, and just don't even think about negative thoughts of, is it good enough? Is it not good enough? But put it out there. And the people that love what you do will flock to you. And the people that won't, that's okay. They don't have to be in your tribe. It's all good.
Yeah.
So, you know, yeah, that's how I see it.
And then owning your own stuff, your master. So that's power. That's can be for your grandchildren, that they can live off the
Yeah.
royalties for that. So that's
Yeah.
in that position when you own your own stuff instead of the and going by them. I mean, I remember a little bit of stuff, but you have posture with owning your own
Yeah.
masters.
Yeah. That was a hard task. That was hard. Um, I don't know if I would tell somebody to go own your own masters unless you like the coldest producer. You can do it all yourself. But
Yeah,
what I went through, I wouldn't wish that on any human being. I would not wish
you wouldn't.
the
Okay.
experience I had. No, I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy to endure what I didn't as an independent artist and the things that I had encountered, thought. And so I understand why your record label do what they do, because there's a lot of things going on that an
Yeah.
artist doesn't have to deal with. And so that's where that give and take comes in. Like, we gave you something, now we're gonna take it back. It's like we gave you $1. Ooh, now we want $30 back.
Yeah.
There's a reason for that. And so I'm not saying that I would do that if I was at the top. I wouldn't do that to anyone, but there's an understanding of it because there's a lot that goes into breaking an artist, especially during that time period. And there's a lot of things going on. Like, they have a lot of connections around the world that you just don't have. And so the amount of energy it takes for you to at that time, there was no social media presence. There wasn't all these things. That was like literally had to be like at the mercy of someone else. And so I was fortunate to not have those situations occurring for me, even though I had other situations occurring
Yeah.
that were different and challenging. So, I'm really blessed in that. I'm still recording music today due to
Oh,
the uh, the um, the IP, or shall I say, the project that I was working on for many years. That project is the comic book that I released, called Reign of the Underdog. That project has compilation to it. Also has the augmented reality. Has quite a few components that I developed along the years to, build a project into uh, a franchise that I had started in 2009,
okay.
and started exploring and going to the Comic Cons and really understanding like the creative side of like how to really create content in a way that uh, would be my generational wealth to my kids, or just not even that, but it would be the masterpiece of me as an artist that I wanted to create, that I had no idea I could actually do this. I had no idea I could develop a comic book. I, I never even thought of it. It was never on my radar. And so it helped me really hone in on my craft as an artist and really get deeper within myself. So I saw another version of an artist that I didn't know could exist. So I went from doing music and started to create this album called Reign of the Underdog. And I was gonna put album together because I felt like I was an underdog. I wasn't getting to the doors. At that moment, I had been doing it for almost 10 years, and I was getting really tired. And I was like, shit, right now would be really great to get a deal. And so I was like, what am I going to do? I'm going to put out another album, and I'm going to call it Reign of the Underdog. And I went to Comic Con, saw the comic books, and I was like, I got it. I'm going to turn myself into a superhero, and I'm gonna bring my life into that. He's gonna deal into all these struggles, and I'm gonna create the music with the comic book, and I'm gonna release the comic book the music like a movie score. And I was like, I'm gonna change the way music is being done in regards to the visual side of things, and so that required more money.
More money. More money. Yeah.
And I was
Struggle.
thinking,
Yeah.
all these ads cost me a lot of money, so I started thinking like, yeah, how much could a book actually cost? Well, a comic book costs a lot of money, man. Just let me tell you, it's thousands of dollars to do a comic book if you don't know how to make the comic book yourself, because there's like all these components that go into a comic book. It's like
Oh.
there's a penciler, there's an inker, there's a letterer, there's a colorist, there's someone who comes in and put effects on the comic book. I mean, it's a whole process. You just don't do a comic book. You just don't make a comic book overnight. It doesn't happen. So here I am thinking like, oh, great idea. Great idea. It was a great idea, but it was costly. And so I was simmering in this, and I was like, man, when am I going to get this album out? And I was waiting for the book. And then it became, it was supposed to just be a script that I wrote as an ash can leading into this character, as I saw myself as a superhero in this world. And I didn't know that I was going to make a decision to do 5 issues of the book at the time. I really didn't. And so it started to just develop more. And then the year started to gain on me. And then I started getting really frustrated because I was like, I just want this done. I just want it to be over with. Every time I looked, I was like spending some money. So I would earn some money from my career, and then I would go dump it back into it. And I'd be like, this is insane, bro. Like I would be like, you gotta stop this. But my drive and ambition would not let me. I'd be like, if I started, I gotta finish it. I gotta finish this. You gotta finish this. And then I was just like, man, I'm so tired. And then I don't know, I would get tired, and then I would get a second charge or a second win, and I would just push through that, and I would find a way to raise more. I would just keep building on my project, and finally to the day, right, kind of 2019 for the pandemic and stuff. We launched the 50th anniversary special issue at Comic-Con San Diego, and so it was a huge success. I turned the comic book into an art hero.
Laz's internet. We'll wait for Laz. That's technology. Sign back on. I guess I can sing or do something. So we're waiting on Laz. The internet dropped off, so we'll give him time to sign back. Yes, Laz lost his internet. Okay, Laz is coming back on. Or where did he go? I know you see you. All right.
All right, we're back. Okay. You know, these internet connections
Well, you need to call
60
Spectrum.
minutes.
Hopefully you got Spectrum. Yeah,
I do.
it's all
I
good.
do got Spectrum. I'm gonna have to call them and be like, yo, man, you messed up. You're gonna have to give me a discount on my bill.
Let me tell you, I got Spectrum too. A couple times they failed me, and I was like, Spectrum, you're making me look bad. So yeah.
Yeah.
So, I'm your witness.
It did.
We got it.
It did.
We got it on camera.
All right.
So let's get back into it. You were talking about as a matter of fact, somebody text me, was like, where is he at? So let's get back to the comic book.
Yeah. So Reign of the Underdog is the where I left off is the comic book that I created, and I didn't know I was gonna develop this series of books and write this script, and I didn't even know I was gonna go there. And when I saw it, and I realized in the end that I did something in my idea of what I saw didn't translate into what I actually did. It was more so like I saw this one thing, but it became much larger than myself. And so that required a lot more energy and a lot more responsibility to understand what I was actually doing. Because, if you don't have somebody mentoring you, I'm not saying I didn't have a mentor particularly in my life, but you didn't have someone like guiding you to step by step, like your caregivers, your parents, they show you, oh, we got to potty train this baby. And, they put you on the toilet and, oh, you did a good poo-poo, something like that, I didn't know about that in the comic book world. In fact, I didn't realize that people in the comic book world had like big egos. And I didn't know that the reason that they had all these egos, because by the time they got to where they were going, it was a struggle for them too. And so I was understanding these things as I was going through the red tape. And so at the end of, not the end of the journey, but while on that journey, I realized that the art had evolved, and then we became this world into social media that's just larger than life. And it's really affecting people in so many aspects of the world that I didn't see myself, being this creator, this type of creator. I wanted to be a rapper. And then I remember speaking to my mother about my rap career, and she said to me, baby, you ever thought maybe you were more than a rapper? You ever thought maybe God had something more for you? And I was like, no, I want to rap. And I was like, she said, you can always do more, baby. You can always do more. My mom is so sweet, and she's very gentle. She's a very gentle person, So I was just like, yeah, right. My mom don't know what she's talking about. She ain't out here in LA. She don't know the grind.
Oh,
but she was right.
Is real.
The grind is real, but she was absolutely correct. There was something much more to me to explore as an artist, because I was just stuck on this one thing, and that's not real art. And so there's artists, and then there's art, but then there's also the creation of art. And then we have different ways of looking at things from our life experiences. So as the project started to develop even more, now I'm at the NFT stage. I partnered with Mogul Productions, mogulproductions.com. They just did Multi-Land. You go to their website, you can check them out. And they're working with the creator of The Simpsons. His name is Eric Chavo. And these are all the great things that I've been able to accomplish on this journey of exploring my artistic side. It doesn't mean I haven't had any struggles, but I've been able to keep opening up those doors. And I don't give any of the praise to me. I only give this praise to God. Everything that I'm able to create has nothing to do by my own will. And it took me a long time to even figure that out. I was like, I'm doing this. I'm hustling. I'm grinding. I'm making this happen. And all the obstacles I came across was like, I feel like a little part of me was like, okay, I'm not giving the praise to outside of the fact that I would not be here if not the creator, but not even for my parents, but all these things that I have forgotten about or even think about because I'm so consuming what I want. I can't even see that he's even bigger than myself. And
Yeah.
the impact we have on each other as human beings is so large that we can influence each other to do shit that we ain't supposed to be doing. And so it's like we're very impactful to each other. And I didn't know the impact I could create by expressing my art. So the things that you put out there, the music, the movies, everything is an impression. It makes an impression on us.
Yeah.
And a lot of us live in, or we think that this world of what we see on television, on social media is real. And it's only what people want you to see. And the part of us that wants to be connected to it wants to even find and fill that hole that we're missing, that hole that we're missing as human beings. So a lot of that is our spirit being empty.
Yeah.
And so going on that journey, not having my spirit being filled, I had to go through a lot to understand why I was this creator, because God could, feed me ideas and feed me a vision that was outside of me, but was more of his vision of what he wants and what he wants me to leave behind for my family and the people that I love so much, and my legacy. So it's like that is kind of where I've been on this journey, and developing this art is just, it's just for the people. It's not even
Yeah.
just for Lazarus. It's not even for me. It's for the people so that they can have something to access and be inspired by, because we need to be inspired in order to be encouraged to keep moving forward in this world where sometimes we don't think there's any hope for us, and you don't know what people are going through until you start getting vulnerable with them, and then you find out that everybody's going through something just like you know
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
yeah.
And now go back to your name. I ain't gonna say
Mm.
your government
Yeah.
is part of the struggle and why
Yeah.
you're part of the comic book and everything. Can you talk about, because you Laz to me, but I know Lazarus biblical from
Yeah. Yeah.
your name. Talk about.
Um, when I was incarcerated, I wasn't just incarcerated with my physicality. I was incarcerated in my mind, and all those negative thoughts I had about, like, I'm never gonna amount to nothing. This is the life for you. You ain't gonna be shit anyway. So what's the big deal? I mean, even though I look like a guy that probably, I had muscles and stuff like that. You might not have thought I had these thoughts, but I did have these thoughts. Even though I would tell myself I'm going to make it, I still had a lot of negative thoughts that would keep me into this place trapped in my mind. And I couldn't think outside of that. And so whenever I was incarcerated, I had this time to myself as a young man, to a little boy, to be honest with you, um, to think and really hone in, and God had reached me a lot. He was talking to me like a lot. And so I made that vow that if I was never going to come back to jail, if I kept my word to myself, that I would rename myself. I would give myself a name, and I would not only move forward with this name, but I would also uh, try to be on a righteous path and do the right thing. I would try to do the right thing by what I knew. I was raised up with a mom that religious, and a good moral compass, and things like that. And so I wasn't kind of like following that. I'm not saying that if I didn't follow that I would have been a bad person, but I still wanted to do right, and I wanted to be a good person at that time. And so I was rapping, and I remember my best friend who passed away January 19th. His name is Shannon Gibbs. Um, he came over to my house at the time, and I was going to McNeese State University. I had just crossed over, and I was working on my album, and he was, I was like, I don't know. He's like, what do you think? I was like, I was thinking about this and thinking about that. And he was like, nah, you were reborn. You doing something big for your life. And this story, I never even told this to anybody, but he said, oh, you should call yourself Leviticus. He was like, nah, that's too deep, dog. He was like, that's too deep. And I was like looking at him, and he was like, what about Lazarus? And I was like, that's it. That's what I'm gonna call myself. And so I was like, what, 18 years old at that time. I just got out. I was rapping. He and I had this conversation, and he was rolling with me. He was my best friend, and he was a singer. He got in my rap concert. He sung, him and his group, and he just supported me. He loved me to death, man. He loved me like no other brother could love another brother. And so he always just had my back. Anything I wanted to do, he was like there with me, because he actually saw the things I had went through and was like, "Yo, that would have been me." He was like, "Shit, I would have gave up." And I was like, "It's like, no, it wasn't meant for that." And so I felt like I had that. I had that to take that and move forward with what my vision was, and what the vision I had been given by God was speaking through him to speak to me. And so I just was like, wow, this is real. This is really real of what's happening. I was like, I didn't deny it, and I just owned it, and I kept it. And even though I thought about changing my name so many times, because I was like, well, I don't sound like another rapper. Wait a minute. I don't sound like Buckshot Willie or Two Face Two Chains or Shoot 'Em Up Lil Wayne, or I didn't have that kind of rap name. Lil this, Lil that, Lil Young this. I didn't have that type of rap name. I had a rap name named Lazarus. So it was like, this guy must be really serious. And I am a serious guy. I am a very serious guy. But at that time, I was like, I had to, be serious. And I wasn't rapping gospel. That was it. Most people thought when they heard it, and I was in Louisiana, they thought I was rapping as a gospel rapper. But I was like, nah, I'm rapping about shit I went through with my dad, with my mama. You know what I mean? Just stuff in my life. I'm rapping about real life shit. And so, it stuck with me, and honestly, it was meant to be. The name was meant for me to own it and to take it, and I used it to move into my career, because it's like really kind of like tells a story about how my life was, and I did get another chance. I absolutely got a lot of chances, but I was actually given that opportunity to change my life, and so that's not something, I'm not saying other people haven't had, but at that moment in time, that's what I was experiencing, and I wanted to keep that, and so I never changed my name, so yeah. That's how I got it.
A lot of things, like I said, your accomplishments, like just going over your, rapper, a comic book. It's like, I wish I could pull it up where I could technology challenge, but the cover of the comic book is dope. Like, I wish I could share it, but I'm not gonna mess with this. And I know the Wiz, Donnie the Wiz, will kill me if I mess up. But like the comic book, the cover is dope. Like, wow, and it's you. Now,
Yeah.
did you? So, when did you, in your mind, decide that you wanted to perfect your art? Was it all
Oh
spawned from
man.
book?
Well, okay, so that's a far back. I was already interested in lifting weights when I was about 15 or 16. And so this is funny because when I went to college, I'd met a Sigma. He was already in the fraternity. His name was Malcolm Antoine. I'm gonna give him a shout out if you're listening. Loco, and I wanted to train. I wanted to work out. I was only like 19 years old, I think, at that time, and so I liked that. He was a big dude at that time, and I'm not saying I don't know if he's a big dude today, but I'm saying he was big, and I was like, oh man, I want to be like that, and I was doing music, and I was lifting weights at the same time, and so I just kept kept training, and he actually showed me bodybuilding, not competitive particularly, because that's a different level to it, but he showed me bodybuilding, the push and pull, showed me how to squat, and and I started working out, and then I felt, when I did it, I felt amazing. I was like, I was pumped. Your blood is rushing. And I was like, man, this is the dopest feeling ever. And I was like, man, my arms are like 2 times bigger. And so I was like, I really was enjoying it, and I didn't give it up. So I kept training. I kept lifting weights. While I was rapping, I was hitting the gym. I just really got into that. I never got into the particularly the nightlife, particularly like just hanging out really late hours, even though you're in college, you're partying, you're having a good time with your fraternity members or just your colleagues and stuff like that. But I would think like, oh man, it'd be really great in the morning and go to the gym. And I had this, so I kept this while I was doing music, and then I was just about thinking about just cutting the music out. I was like in LA. I had been here for 2.5 years, and I was starting to feel like, man, this is hard. And I had a bodybuilder like, you should come to a bodybuilder show. You could come to a bodybuilding show and check it out with me. And he was getting ready for the USAs at that time. And I was like, yeah, all right, cool. Yeah, I'm going to go see this. I had no interest in being a competitive bodybuilder. Although I didn't understand what goes into it, I went and I was hooked. I was like, oh, I want to do that. And I was like, well, I could do that and do music at the same time. Like, why couldn't I not? And so I didn't put any restraints on myself of what I could do. So, and that was because I was still in the same lane. I didn't switch the lane. I didn't go from being a dentist to being a brain surgeon. I didn't go from doing something totally opposite. I was still in the same lane of entertainment. I just didn't know that bodybuilding is entertainment, rapping is entertainment. All those things are in the same lane. I've been doing entertainment since I was 19 years old. So there's nothing I hadn't changed the lane. I just opened up doors in different avenues of that industry. And so that's why it was easy for me to do it. And so I just kept training, and then I started competing. And while I was competing, I scored the Dog movie soundtrack. And that's how I made that decision from competitive bodybuilding to doing music, and just saying, okay, something's going to give, because I realized at that time, well, I can't do both. I won't be able to go on a music tour if I got to get ready for a bodybuilding show. So I put it on the back burner. I kept training for many years, and I'm still training today. I have taken time off for many occasions, but I was like, there's no possible way I'm going to be able to be a professional bodybuilder and be a professional recording artist at the same time. So again, that was trial and error. And so that's how I got into the sport of bodybuilding, because I love training. I love lifting weights. It's like one of the things that, it just really fills up my cup when I can hit the gym and get that great leg workout. Especially when you're like squatting, you're like doing like 3 plates and 4, but yeah, that's something that feels good. But end of the day, there's got to be more to life than that. And
Yeah.
I had to find a balance, because the average human being doesn't think about hitting the gym that way, and don't really have the desire to get on a competitive bodybuilding stage. So
Yeah.
that's kind of its own. And so, both, and I had to pick and choose. I had to decide which one I was going to go with, and it was music. And
Okay.
so, that was it. Yeah.
So now for your physique, if that's the correct word. Now let's talk about
Yeah.
my favorite role that you were in, and every time I see it, I laugh. Your role, you know what I'm going to say, and in Straight Out of Compton,
Yeah.
that role, so hilarious. So did you audition for that role, and did you know that that you were going to be? Can I say the word? Let me. I know I'm a leading lady.
Go ahead.
You had bitched in this role by
Um,
Chardonnay. Did you know that when you auditioned for it?
actually, okay, so this is another thing too. I was at that threshold at that point. Well, I mean, I've been wanting to quit many times in my life. Like, I just want to give up because, you know, you just like, you don't think there's doors are going to open. And so I saw this role and I read it. And I was like, man, look at this gangster shit. I don't want to be on some other gangster shit. I'm tired of doing this stupid shit. You know what, man? I gave my word to my manager. I'm going to go. But after this, I was like, I'm done. I was like, I'm done, right? And I didn't look at all the names. I didn't look at who was involved because I didn't care about any of that. I was just like, hey, I'm going to go see what this acting thing is like. You know, at that time, like, I was starting to take it serious and stuff. I went in, I read it, and I walked inside and I saw all these guys. And I was like, man, ain't nobody can pull this off better than me. I mean, I wasn't even being arrogant. I just felt confident that I could sell this because I had been in this street life and I knew what that life was like. If you had to get into this position of, you know, you got somebody kick your ass or, you know, you had to be in that position or something like that. So, and then also, you know, I felt like I could really, bring the life to character. I felt like it was something that was close to my life. And so I read it and I read it like I read it. And I didn't think that I was going to get it. I just walked in with an open mind to being available for the character and whatever decision I could make for that role at that time. And so I didn't know that I was gonna be in my underwear on set. I didn't know that, and so I didn't know all of those things were gonna happen until I got there. And then they asked me, was I comfortable? And I was like, yeah, sure, fine. You know, I'm in it now, you know. And so I went there and it was something that I just didn't even know I was gonna get. I just like, I'm all in. You know, I was like, I'm just gonna do this. I'm just gonna open myself up. The casting director at the time, she really saw something in me because a lot of people auditioned for that role, and so I'm very thankful for that. Yeah, and so I walked out the door, went home. I was going home, and I was like, I got a call, and they were like, "Hey, yo, you need to be on set tomorrow. In fact, they want you on set right now. Sorry, they wanted me on set right now." And so I went to the set to get the rehearsal because they were shooting, and they were picking up scenes and stuff like that. The movie had a delay; it was already supposed to have, you know, came out, and they were still making their final touches. And that's another thing about film. Even in television, you know, sometimes you have to pick up scenes, you creating the story more so that it makes more sense and stuff like that. And so that scene was added to the movie. And I went to set, and then before you know it, I was on set and I was filming the next few days. And I was like, wow, just when I thought, and this is why I say you never give up, because you don't know when the time is going to come. So if you're an artist and you're thinking, I'm going to give myself this time frame on accomplishing this goal, and I'm going to get this done by this time, you can't do that, because, you know, being a creative, an artist, an entrepreneur is, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. It's a long road. And only the ones that are committed to it are the ones that's actually going to reap the rewards. And that's the God honest. And that's the truth, not my truth, but that's just the truth. That's just the way it works, you know? And you got to really commit to really commit to that. And I committed to the role, and it translated well. I got a lot of encouragement from the cast, and they were like, you know, just telling me like, yo, man, if you were like, you could really do this, man, actor. And I didn't see myself like that. I just, again, was, hey, I'm going to see what this acting is about, because I didn't really know the depths of the industry. Again, I was getting into it, but I didn't knowledge. Now I'm very knowledgeable about the industry. I understand And so once you do love, you can make the commitment to move forward with it or not, if that's what you want. Be a lot of things that are going to come up, and it'll test you to see if you really want. And like I said, I've been tested many a times to turn around and throw the towel in, but I've chose to find strength through prayer and asking God to push me through whatever I'm going through, so I could finish the task that was I was sought out to do. So yeah, so that's what I've been but I didn't think I was gonna be in my underwear, and and I didn't even care at that point. Once they did all that, and they were like, "Yeah, he's gonna beat you." The scariest part was the dog. The dog was probably this close to me. I'm serious. The dog was literally this close, and they kept saying, "Can we get the dog closer? Can we get the dog closer? Can we get the dog just a little bit closer?" And I was like, any closer, he'd be done bit my cheek. Just like, yeah, you got to do it for the art. You know how it is. And I was like, yeah, I know how it is. I was literally in that place. I was in that position for many of hours, probably for the whole day. I was in that position.
Under the table?
And so under the table, yeah, I was literally in that position under the table that I I was like, man, my knees are hurting. This is funny. I had a cramp in my abdominal when they started shooting. So I got this cramp. I mean, my ab had done started. It had locked up on me, and I couldn't move because they were trying to get this shot, and the dog was right there, and I was just like, I was suffering with this cramp in my stomach, right? And I was like, so I think like sometimes when I look at it, I'm like, I had the cramp right there. That's when the cramp came. The cramp came right there at that moment, and eventually, they finished, and I got up, and I was like, I stretched it out, and I was like, I'll be right back. And I was like, oh, we're gonna take a break, but we're coming back to this again. And then I was like, man, why do you have to shoot a scene like 50 times? We got to get it from this angle. We got to get it from that angle. And then that let me start to really understand the hard work that actors put in on their craft. And it is not easy. You think you just go, oh, no. It takes a lot of commitment and a lot of work to put on just a small scene, and you have to be trusted by people in the industry to know that, they can count on you to deliver the performance that they need. And if you can't, then, they might have lost money on that, but they'll just edit you out, and what happened? Or maybe it didn't fit into the story. The timing didn't fit.
Yeah. But
so.
I know you was able to work in my baby Gritty as Dre.
Yeah.
So
thank you.
Yes, and I know that with this you auditioned for multiple roles. But let me ask you a question. Your character as Dre, and then actually Dre is going on, I'm excited. Was you more of a Dre Curtis? So if y'all want to know what we're talking about Gritty. So you need to go to YouTube and look up Gritty so you can know what we're talking about. Which you were incarcerated that you could relate more to, Dre or were you?
Actually, but more so the reason why I say that is because I was a young man incarcerated, so I did get that part of it, but I also got the antagonist, the guy that was in charge, and in every, I'll just say there's always someone running the show in the situation where you are in. So I did have the experience of understanding that, and I actually, to be honest with you, I used some of my experiences on the street to cultivate the character, but I also used a little part of the experiences I had growing up as a with my father figure that was around, that was very, very more so like he was a very stern person, able to bring that to the character because that was the relationship that he had with Curtis as being someone to, antagonize him, but also to like, like do as I say, not as I do type thing. And
Right.
I was able to just hone in on that and create a lot of good decision making in the role. I made a lot of good decisions and choices for the character. Again, that's what really acting is about, is the choices that you make for the character that brings that to life. So and it would translate on film. So if you're making a decision to laugh when the character does not laugh, there could be a problem with that, with the vision
Yeah.
of that role. So yeah.
You
But
guys did a lot of what is it called, improv, and I mean y'all,
yeah,
but
absolutely.
you
Yeah.
know that we did not. I can honestly say that when we filmed, we did not have to do a lot of retake because you, Dalton, um, Reese, y'all. I mean, the whole cast and crew, y'all just did it, and it was, especially with your character. It wasn't like cut. You just brought it, and it was just you did an awesome job with Dre. That Dre is gonna go further.
Yeah.
Where Dre is going, so stay tuned, folks. So I'm excited about that. But just excited about everything that is going on with you. Last, and I know you're busy. You probably want to go in the gym now and go lift something, or go eat your chicken breast or something. But
I don't know
so
about the chicken breast. I would probably eat a hamburger, some French fries, to be honest with you.
really, you eat that stuff?
Yeah,
Okay, okay,
absolutely.
okay. Well, maybe that's something I go get a hamburger from what is it, In and Out Burger. That's one of my favorite. But
I like Shake Shack. I like
oh,
Shake Shack hamburgers, and
okay.
yeah, I love Shake Shack. I'm not gonna say I love it like to the death of like, oh, I love Shake Shack, I can't live without it. But if I had to pick a burger, it would be Shake Shack. Yeah, for sure.
I am surprised to hear you say that you eat something like a burger and fries. I was thinking maybe fruit, vegetables, and maybe something healthier for chicken breast or something like that. So, but yeah,
Well, to be honest with you, as a person in fitness, you train for many years. You kind of, you can eat clean too. You can eat clean. You can also kind of go outside of your diet, but particularly so once you learn, what works best for you. I could get away with a hamburger and fries. Maybe not every day, 4 or 5 times a day, but I could get away with it. And so I do both. You know, I'll eat a burger and fries, and then I'll eat like a, basic chicken or whatever, and things like that. So I try to stay on a healthy path as much as I can. I am human, so I do have cravings, and
yeah, it's
I
hard.
do want to have a donut then or a Snickers bar. So
Wow. So wrapping up and everything. So, what leading gentleman in the past would you like to have a cigar with if you had that chance?
in the cast of
Past, like
in acting.
anyone that would have been a role model that right now, if you could sit down and have a nice whiskey and a cigar and talk about things and just pick their brain, who would that person
Mm.
be?
Okay, so that's a hard one because there's a lot.
Wow.
Uh,
Oh, it's a lot. Where you pick one?
if because I was work and I can really just be like, wow, I'm really inspired by this artist or this actor or even act.
The internet again. Well, I'm gonna give again, it's the internet and technology. It sometimes wins. Well, you guys, I'm gonna wrap up because the internet keeps going out. But I would like to thank Lazarus for joining us and being our leading gentleman this week. And we hope that these conversations was enlightening to our audience as it was to you. So please come back and join us again in the future. And well, thank you everyone for tuning in. And please be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Leading Ladies underscore podcast, as well as subscribe to our YouTube channel at Leading Ladies of the past, present, and future for a recap for this live with Lazarus Guidry. And Laz can be found on YouTube, on Instagram, and I believe it's Laz at Lazarus Guidry. So I want to thank everyone, and everyone have a good night.